And the book was based on my experience of finding out what it was that the best leaders that I worked with, the best local political leaders, what were the things that they were doing that made them the best. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we go on. And as Hazel said, what we're talking about here today is MeMotivation, and MeMotivation is basically a combination of my work around personal leadership and the me focus, and we join that up with something called motivational maps, which I know all of you have done, so we'll talk a little bit about that a bit later. Don't know if any of you have had a chance to go and have a look at our website, but if you have a look at our website, you see that we've got some principles there. Won't kind of read through them all, but that's what we're trying to do with this tool, you know. And there's a couple of things particularly out of all of that stuff that I think is really important, and listening to some of the things you were talking about in terms of the reason you're here and some of your expectations, I think are particularly relevant to that. Two things. One of them is that it's about personal resilience. Yeah, it's about helping people to be more resilient. Resilience has been described as something called bounce back ability, which is the idea of being able to kind of come up, step back when you get knocked down, yeah? But I think there's something that's even more important about real resilience, and that's responsibility. Not responsibility, but responsibility. The ability to respond in any situation, not just when times are bad, because I think that's a danger we get into thinking it's just about when times are bad. But actually, at any time, you can always pull out the right response, yeah? So this tool is about helping people to be able to have responsibility, to be able to pull out the right response in any given situation. But the other really important thing I think this tool is about, and this is something that I picked up from my colleague James, who Hazel mentioned was the person behind Motivational Map, and it's this idea of performance. Yeah? And is there anyone in the room, is there anyone who's come here today who doesn't want to perform better? And when I say perform, I mean across all walks of life. I'm talking about not just in your work, because that's important, and some of you have mentioned how important it is to deal with rapid change and all that, but as a wife, as a husband, as an uncle, as a friend, as a cousin, in relationships, yeah, in any of your chosen hobbies, anything that you do. Is there anyone in this room who would not like to perform better? Put your hands up. Good. Just checking, yeah, because I think this map, this product will help you in your performance. And in terms of what you talk to people about, I think that's one of the key messages you need to get across to them. What we're dealing with here is better performance, because we all want to perform better. And there's some great things about performance. One of the things about performance is that it's great for self-esteem. Yeah? The more you perform better, if you think about it, the more better you feel about yourself, and it's like a virtuous circle. The more likely you are to perform better. Yeah? So we really want to get to grips with performance. And what I'm going to suggest to you is that performance, in terms of what drives it and what it's based on, it's based on three things, yeah? And we're going to talk a lot about the power of three today. And the three things are, if I can sort of represent them in a triangle, which is not a very straight triangle there. The three things, which is what I hope the tool will help people to kind of think about, is one is about direction, right? So in order to perform effectively, you have to have a sense of direction. You have to have a sense of where it is you're trying to get to. What are you trying to achieve, yeah? And your direction should be based on things like your values. Do we have values? Do we know what they are? Yeah? It should be based on things like your mission. What is your mission statement? Remember, MePLC is talking about the idea of you being like a business. What is your personal mission statement? I believe that everyone in this room was born to do something, yeah? And even as you grow up, you might even change it, but we should all have a sense of what we're here to do. I know that one of the things that I'm here to do is to motivate people, yeah? Now, if I'm trying to do something, I'm trying to perform in an area that doesn't involve motivating people, I'm lacking direction. That's likely to affect my performance, yeah? So we need to think about what it is our direction. And then following on from your values and your mission, there's things like your vision. What's your big picture? What do you want to see? And then falling out from all of that are your goals. And we'll talk a little bit about goals a bit later. So number one, if you're going to perform effectively, you've got to have some direction. Yeah? Second thing you have to have is you've got to have some skills. Yeah? You've got to be able to do whatever it is you're trying to do. Yeah? And we're going to get into this a bit later in terms of the work context and how important it is to have skills. Yeah? Whether you're being a footballer, whether you're being a counsellor, whether you're being a nurse, whatever, you know, no matter how clear you are about where you want to go, if you haven't got the skills, it's very difficult. And today, what we're going to talk about 5 particular skills. We're going to use my model of focus, and we're going to say that those are 5 skills that you really do need to have. You do need to be fearless, you do need to be optimistic, you do need to be creative, you do need to be unique, and you do need to be a storyteller. I'm going to put it to you that no matter what it is that you want to do in life, you need to have those 5 skills sharpened, fixed up and ready to go. Making sense? We're going to get into that in a bit more detail, but those are the skills you need, yeah? But the final thing, and the thing that is often overlooked rarely, is this idea of motivation. Yeah? So no matter how clear you are about your direction, how skillful you are, if you're not motivated, you're probably going to struggle to get out of bed, much less to follow your direction, much less to demonstrate your skills, right? And actually, this model, it kind of reflects quite neatly. Are people familiar with Stephen Covey and 7 Habits of Effective People? He actually talks about the nature of those habits, and he talks about them in terms of, I think it is, he talks about knowledge, yeah, and I think that's direction, knowing where you want to go. He actually talks about them being based on skills, you must have skills, and he talks about having desire, you must have desire. I think that's motivation. So it actually fits quite well in that, again using the power of 3. Yeah? So these are the things that you have to have. And I'm going to put it to you that actually motivation is one of the things that people don't spend much time on. Don't spend much time on trying to understand it, having a language for it, having a sense of how do we actually make it happen. Yeah? And that's what we're going to be kind of talking to you about today.